What's up, my financially intentional people? We are in for a treat because Jack Howard has returned to talk to us about a research study that Ally has done on like the state of singledom and the financial implications of that, obviously, because Ally is a bank. This is a personal finance platform. We're going to talk about that. So welcome back, Jack. So nice to have you.
Thank you for having me again.
Of course. So let's dig right into this study that you guys did. What initiated this study and what were your overarching findings?
Yeah, so Ally, we're the bank that's going to help you to have a better relationship with money. And with that, we started doing surveys on various topics. And most recently, we did it on the cost of being single. And there's this myth out there that if you're single, you automatically get this singles tax because you are not sharing expenses with a partner. And what I found from this study that was so interesting is that people are content with being single. So we found that 7 out of 10 singles are content. And when we look at women versus men, women are even more content being single, but at the same time, women are having more anxiety about money. They have more anxiety than single men. And I think that's so interesting because basically what we're saying is I'm deciding to be single, and that may come with some more financial stress, but having that autonomy, having that freedom is important to a lot of our singles, especially women.
And I think that's very interesting because there's a shift, right, away from people thinking that marriage was supposed to be like a financial agreement earlier on, and it was put in place for families to be able to continue different lineages and assets and transfer assets and all those kind of stuff. But we moved away from that as a society. But still, it was only recent that outside of relationships, women had financial autonomy. And so now this new generation of women are just and have grown up in this space where they can access bank accounts without being married, where they can open credit cards without being married. They're saying, I'm still choosing to be single, even though I know that these financial issues are a little bit more stressful. I think that this is pretty unique insight.
Yeah, and you're talking about the history of marriage, right?
Right.
And how it's evolved so much for women and that you can have a career. My life is very different than the life of my grandmother or my great-grandmother, where they didn't have the same choices professionally or even to be high earners professionally. And I think when that enters the equation and you have more choices, now you're looking at relationships from the lens of, is this in alignment with my values? Is this in alignment with the life that I want? And it's less of a money decision. And I think women and singles in general are deciding that I would rather stay single if it's going to cost me my peace, which I'm all for that. And I think we have this myth too that just because you get married, everything is roses. That's not true. That is not true. So, at Ally, we have a program called Ally Money Roots where we teach these 1-hour sessions. And one of our classes is called Love and Money, where we help people to navigate money and their relationship with money, but through the lens of their romantic partnership. And we're still dealing with things. Even if you have a partner, you're going to still deal with opposite beliefs. You're going to still deal with opposite money stories and opposite values. And I think if you're single or in a relationship, if you don't address those things in the beginning while you're single or when you enter the partnership, it's going to come right into the relationship and you're going to have friction regardless. I think a lot of our singles are realizing that I would rather put in the work and get it right while I'm single. And if an opportunity to be in a relationship happens to come along, I will be focused on finding the right person.
No, I love that. And I think that some people can look at this and interpret this as anti-marriage or anti-coupledom. And it's really not. It's really about the autonomy that people feel in having control over their finances and not relying on a relationship to do. But it does not take away the fact that talking about money still is one of the most taboo things. And a lot of people don't do that early on. I actually just had a conversation with my coworkers the other night, and I was telling them, like, when me and my boyfriend got together and we're both in the money space, one of the first things that we did was sit down and look at each other's budgets, what our expenses were, what our assets were. We did compound interest calculators to see if we combine our money together, like how fast it would grow and if it would make sense for one of us to work and not. Like, getting that comfortable with money. And my coworkers were shocked. They were like, you talk about these things? One of them was married for years and
still didn't talk about it.
Yes, they still don't talk about it. And then my other coworker is just recently in a committed relationship, and then she was just like, yeah, I think I need to do that, but I'm still very private about my money. But on the other hand, I'm like, this is the issue. We know that finances is one of the things that is the biggest attributes to people breaking up, right? So why are we still hesitant about having these conversations? I'm definitely team prenup, and not for the reason most people think. It's not because I want to take somebody's assets and I'm a gold digger and all these kind of things that are labels that people put on it. It's because it forces you to sit down, look at the numbers, understand, get those hard conversations out the way, and now create a plan going forward in your relationship where you can go back and look at those numbers. But saying all that to say is that people are still so afraid to talk about money, and it is showing up in these relationships. And I think that's what it is showing. That's what the study is highlighting too, is that people are just like, this is too much. This is too overwhelming in the sense of in a relationship. It just adds another dynamic when I haven't figured it out on my own.
But the work has to be done regardless. And when you mention team prenup, I'm team being prepared. And I like to shift the conversation about prenups as well, because in the media lately, there's been a lot of public divorces. And something that someone said was, how you show up in a divorce is very different than how you show up when you're walking down the aisle. It's two totally different people. So I would rather get the, I love you, let's be rational, let's think about things in a fair way. Should we have children? We have assets, all of that. Let's have that conversation now so that should things not work out, which we know 50% of relationships end in divorce, we are prepared and we don't have to be enemies. So I think people have to look at it, like you said, less about I'm a gold digger and all of that, and more about let's be prepared that if things shift, we are ready to have this conversation and it won't be a war. But I think people won't even have that conversation. No. So it's hard. And I think that the root of it for a lot of people is a lot of shame. They're ashamed of that credit score or that credit card debt or student loan debt that they have, and they don't want to share it with their partner. So you don't have transparency. And when you have shame, it leads to avoidance. It leads to financial infidelity. It leads to all these things. So I think I really want people to look at this money conversation and let's make it fun. Let's make it a money date night where we're going to do something fun, have it over a glass of wine or a nice meal. And maybe we don't start out with the credit score question. Maybe we start out with, what are your values? When you think of money, how do you want it to show up in our lives to create experiences? What's your earliest memory of money? And those questions, they will help you to understand why the person has the debt. Or they will help you to understand why the person has that low credit score, because life is up and down. And having that context of how that person got there, it's funny because my partner is more frugal and I'm more of a spender. And in our relationship, we bumped heads on that for so long. And it wasn't until I understood his money story and he understood my money story, and really understanding how I don't have to change. And that was tough for me. I spent large part of our relationship wanting to be frugal, and I am not frugal. But it wasn't until I realized that I can pull some stuff from him and he can pull some stuff from me, and we can complement each other. But you have to have those conversations, but maybe starting with some of those softer questions to get to understand the values of your partner. And then we can move into the credit score and really looking at budgets and all that. But I think people are so afraid of that. It's funny when people see me come in, they're like running because they think I'm going to tear their budget apart. But I really just want you to have a different relationship with money. And sometimes it starts with some of those easier questions.
Yeah, it's really about normalizing those conversations. And the same thing with me. There's always like this, oh, you're going to say something, you're going to judge. It's so much fear around money. And one of the biggest hurdles that I have to get over, especially when I do one-on-ones with people, is listen, there's no shame here. There was a reason why it happened. There was a season. But the worst thing you can do is to ignore it because you're scared. It's really just putting that stuff down so we can deal with it. Let's just address it.
We got to call it, in our Money and You workshop, we have something that's called the Money Wellness Chain Reaction, of looking at how your thoughts and your emotions create your behaviors. And this can be applied to your relationships too, being single or as a couple. What you think about what I'm telling myself about money. I have debt. I'm horrible with money. That makes me feel hopeless. It makes me feel shame. And then what do you think the behavior is going to be? Nothing. I'm not going to do this. It's avoidance. You're not going to do anything. So really helping people, not only while you're single, let's get this mindset so that when you enter a relationship, should you decide, and that's a decision too, you are ready. But we don't want, if you're single or not, to avoid these conversations with yourself or with a partner. It needs to happen.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think people are being like, okay,
I have autonomy. I don't have to tell anybody anything, but you still got issues.
Exactly. Okay, if I don't have to have these conversations, I don't have to have these conversations, and it gives me time to work on it. The thing is that I can't tell you how many times I've dealt with people that just give me the time, I'll figure it out. And that time never happens. And they just kicking that bucket down the road.
And you're just bumping your head against the wall. And so my work here at Ally, I started out overseeing our financial literacy work. And that was all the skills. So budget, credit, debt. And the reason why I leaned into money wellness so heavily with this phase of my career is seeing exactly what you're talking about. People will say, I need more time. I'm going to pay down that debt. I'm going to get that credit score. And it's less about the skills. You know what to do. Your clients know what to do, more than likely. They know that you got to pay down the debt and not buy stuff you don't really want or need. Let's think about it that way. But there's behaviors that people have not addressed as to why they're doing the things that they're doing. And until you get those behaviors under control, I can teach you every method to pay off debt, and you're going to be right back in debt a year from now. And that's why I love this approach, because it's helping people to get to the root of, why did you buy that? Or why didn't you buy that? Because you got people who hoard money too. So why are you doing the things that you do with money? Let's get some clarity on it and some awareness so that we can really use money as a tool for joy, a tool to help you in your single life, a tool to help you as you have a partner. And we just need to have more of those conversations.
Yeah, and you talked explicitly about like money stories and financial trauma that people have that are going to dictate how they operate around money. Like, you identify as a spender. Why is that? And your partner identifies as a frugal person. There's a story behind that. And I think that a lot of times people think it's about the tools, the budgeting, and all that kind of stuff. It's really about uncovering those stories and having those conversations and then shifting the behaviors. Because again, if you don't heal those things, you're going to repeat.
And two, questioning, why do we do it this way? Because even when we started off our conversation, you talked about the history of marriage.
Yes.
And how for some women, they got married because they needed financial stability. Why was it that way? And why is it different now? So questioning these things to where you as a single person or you as a person in a partnership, you're entering these things from a place of authenticity and from a place of really being grounded in your values for what you want for your life is so important. The why is so important as we have these money conversations. Why do I think that way? Who taught me that? What belief is that? Do I still believe that? I want to help people to get to a place of having awareness about it, about these money beliefs, about negative and positive beliefs. Have awareness about it, and then you can decide what to keep and what to move on from.
Yeah, that's definitely it. Like, we just have to start addressing it head on. And I want to talk about the Money Roots program that you guys have in Ally, and like even the couples and money part. But we're talking about singledom here for people to actually just get started, take the action where they're at right now. Like, how does the Money Roots program help people?
Yeah, so the Money Roots program is our money wellness program designed to help you have a better relationship with money. It's a completely different approach to this money conversation. So less of the skills and all that. And I'm an accredited financial counselor. I can talk to you about spending plans and debt and all of that all day long. But again, wanted to have a different approach to help people to understand the why and really get to a place of return on joy when it comes to money. So shifting and not be afraid. I want people to not be afraid of these money conversations. So you can actually sign up for a class. Right now we're teaching them over Zoom, and it's about an hour long. I'm actually, when I hang up with you, I'm going to go teach a class.
Nice.
They are an hour long. We have 4 different sessions. The first one is Money and You, where we go deep into your emotions and mindset around money and how that can impact your behaviors. Our second class is your money story, and that goes into your beliefs about money, things you learned from your parents and caregivers, things you learned from society about money, and how that impacts your spending decisions today. The next class is Money and Values, and for that one, we look at, do you know what your values are? And this is the thing that you believe in above everything else, and it's the pull through in all areas of your well-being. We help you to identify what are your values. And then we do a little bit more deeper look at how those values are showing up in your spending, saving, and giving to get to that place of return on joy. And we also help you to do some goal setting around it. And then our fourth class is Love and Money, where we look at all those topics. So the emotions, the money stories, the values, but through the lens of your romantic partnership. And then we sprinkle in some extra help for those moments when we have conflicting money beliefs and tough conversations. We help you to learn how to navigate those tough conversations with some active listening and things like that. So those are the 4 classes. And I don't know if I mentioned, they are completely free, completely free. You don't have to be a customer. It's open to the public. So just go to ally.com/moneyroots and you can register there. And I'm teaching the class along with some of my colleagues. And we're really proud of the work and guarantee that when you take the class, you'll walk away saying, I never thought about money that way. And that's our goal.
Yeah, I love anything that is going to normalize money conversations, but also give people the tools to be able to really implement the things that they're learning. I think that there's just so much information overwhelmed now with social media and all the places like people consume information that oftentimes there's analysis paralysis. And I love that you guys have centralized this information, and thank you for having it for free and accessible for people, even if they don't have an Ally account. Because I was definitely going to say, do you have to be a member?
No, you do not have to be a customer.
Yeah.
And I love the work too, because as I teach the classes, it resonates for me personally because I'm constantly looking at what are my emotions around money right now and what's causing it. Or I'll be tempted to, because I'm more of a spender. Now I'm more thoughtful about those spending decisions of, does this align with my values? Is this really supporting my authenticity or my goal to have financial independence for my children? Or my spirituality? Like I have locked in on those 3 so much that it's made my spending decisions so much more pleasurable because it's a yes or no. So I can't say it enough how transformative I feel the work is. And for people, if you've ever said I'm bad with money or I'm stuck or I don't know where to start, this is a good place to start just to shift your mindset about everything.
That's where most people come from. Okay, I'm ready. So where do I get started? That's 90% of the questions that I'm usually fielding. And I think this is a great resource for that. But you said something that I just wanted to really highlight because I think, again, this ties back into the shame people have around money is that even you as a finance professional, someone who is certified, you're continuously looking and trying to refine the things with your money. And people just feel like this is like something that is an ongoing practice. It's something that everybody has to continue to do. It's not a one and done thing. You set your budget and boom, your finances are fixed. It's something that you incorporate in your life and something that is going to continuously have to be refined. And I think people have a lot of shame in that, like they're doing something wrong if they have to revisit something with their money. No, your life is continuously changing. Your finances are continuously changing. So it's something that you can continuously be looking at and continuously working on, especially the harder stuff when it comes to emotions around money.
Yeah, and I think as finance professionals, me showing up vulnerably, me showing up and saying, it's some stuff that I'm ashamed about, right? I carry shame that I have to address. It's funny, when I taught the class last week, we have an area in the Money and You workshop where we call out things that may cause you stress, calm, or confidence. And for me, consistently, financial documents and opening mail causes me stress. And I was teaching a class from home next to a stack of mail.
Yes.
And it's something that I deeply have an issue with, which is a part of my money story, which we can get into on the next time I'm on. But it's realized. And during that class, I was vulnerable, and I told the folks on the class that I have shame about this, that I'm teaching the class and I'm still struggling with opening mail. Thankfully, I automate things and I'm trying to get better with the process. I've created some systems to navigate it, but that's still a thing for me. So I think we all need to be honest and say, I'm good at this. I need some help with this. There's some opportunities of improvement. And when we have these conversations again, having transparency, talking about it, now I have girlfriends that'll come over and help me open the mail and shred it, right? So I know I have a support system to help me with it. But if I didn't admit it, I would never get that support. So again, even with your family members, with your partner, if you're single and you're navigating these money conversations, talk about it with your girlfriends. If you have a partner, talk about it with your partner and talk about the things that you're not proud of. And I guarantee, I'm so hopeful that you'll get the support that you need and you never realized you would be able to get it.
But the first thing is to acknowledge it. And a lot of people just don't know to acknowledge it. But once that acknowledgement is there, then you can start putting in the systems and you can start doing the things. But the most important thing to know is you're not going to get it perfect, and that's okay. You're not going to automatically solve every component of it, and that's okay. I think people think they have to know all the things, do all the things, and be perfect at all of the things before they can implement it. And I think that stands in a lot of people's way. Yeah, thank you for being vulnerable and even sharing that, because I know a lot of people have that. I'm right here. And it's not that I'm afraid of opening bills. It's just that it's overwhelming. It's a lot, right?
And that has been my epiphany lately, is that it's just one more thing to do. And I'm overwhelmed. So that gets to, and that's not even a money thing. I think a lot of these money conversations have nothing to do with money. It's something else that's going on under it. So again, get into that why of, why aren't you opening the mail? It's really because you're a little overwhelmed. Why are you overwhelmed, Jacqueline? It's because you have a maxed out schedule. Why is your schedule maxed out? Just asking the why to get to the root, and then we can really address and get to the answers that we need.
Yeah, I think that is so important, like to keep on digging and to keep on. But we have to know how to have these conversations. And that's why I love the personal finance space as it is right now. And as much as I do complain about like the information overload, I think it gives the opportunity for people to see different perspectives and know that they don't have to be perfect. And the vulnerability that people are able to share in this space is what actually motivates people. I know that's what a lot of people say about my platform, is that it's because I don't show up as perfect. I tell you, like when I messed up and all of the things. But in that, I think it's giving people room to see themselves in stories so that they can implement the change. And so I like the way that personal finance is evolving.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yes, it has changed so much.
Yeah, just over the last decade, it's been a drastic shift where it was just like, it was this thing like the haves and the have-nots. Like, you'll get all the help that you need once you accumulate this certain amount of money. And so it set up this mindset where I'm not even going to think about it until I earn more, or I have to be perfect, or people going to financial advisors and then feeling intimidated because they don't know the terminology or the phrases or the accounts or like all this kind of stuff. So then they just don't do it. As to where now I feel like you're seeing personal stories, you're seeing people actually going through it, you're seeing people talk about it in normal language. So you're just like, oh, okay. The index fund is just me buying all the companies instead of just buying one. It's a variety pack. So like, these conversations are changing, and I'm here for it. And I'm also here for the information that's accessible for people like this, like a program where you can just come from where you are, not having to feel like you know all the things, not having to feel like you have your finances set up perfectly or you make a certain amount of money. You can come into this Money Roots program and you can actually just start from where you are. So I think that's really dope.
Yeah, and taking that first step is so important. And like you said, there's so many tools out there, from podcasts. I love reading books. I'm constantly getting a new certification. So I encourage people to just learn. Just take a moment. I listen to my Audible books on my way into the office. Just make the time. If you feel uncomfortable about a topic, just take the time to get more information on it. And then at the same time, have action. So get what you need and then have action. And really, I think the combination of those two things really builds your confidence, and we get back to some of those emotions. You release the shame, you release the scarcity, you release the avoidance because you feel more empowered. So it's definitely all connected.
Yes, and tying it back to the survey that you guys did, I think the bottom line is, even in singledom, you have to still address your finances, and not being in a relationship doesn't give you a pass to push the can down the road. Like, it is something that, especially if you notice that you have anxiety about it, that you do something about, right? Like, we can't keep on putting it off. We just gave you a whole bunch of resources, and just know that it's normal for people to feel this way. But also, we want to normalize talking about money. Money should not be taboo. These are things that we should talk about because we need to learn and move past it. And I think it just makes for a better society in general. Like,
this survey just showcased contentment is important to people, regardless of being in a relationship or not. And then as you are in your content season, let's learn about money at the same time so that we can reduce that financial anxiety. And I think that for people who are single or in a relationship, everybody has financial goals that they want to achieve. They want to have an amazing life. So programs like Money Roots help you to get to that place of being in a good relationship with money and really enjoying it, if you're single or if you're not. So exactly what you said, no matter where you are, we want you to understand money, have a good relationship with money so that when you are single or decide to have a partner, you are ready.
Yes. And I just applaud Ally. I think Ally is a phenomenal financial institution. I'm always recommending people have their high yield savings accounts with Ally, but just the simple fact that they actually care about the community and pouring back into people in a way that you can access it whether you're a customer or not is phenomenal. I think, again, like when I talk about the changes in the personal finance space, Ally has definitely been a catalyst in making sure that access to financial tools and resources is accessible. And so I love what you guys are doing over there. I hope people are able to check out this report. I'm going to tag the report in the show notes. Also, the Money Roots program, I hope people access that. When are those classes available?
Yeah, so we have them typically on Tuesday afternoons, but you can get a full list of the calendar on ally.com/moneyroots. And we teach them about once per week, and it's an hour long.
Awesome. Thank you again, Jack. It's always a pleasure.
I know. It's so good to see you.
Yes, you always bring it. So I really appreciate you and appreciate the work that you're doing through Ally. But you're just a phenomenal person in general. So I'm just glad I get to share you with my audience.
Yes. So more of this. So next time, our next survey, we'll be sure to keep you posted on that and continue to do the amazing work that you're doing.
Aw, thank you.